Hello, brothers and sisters from the StarkNet ecosystem. Welcome back to the Star Cafe. This is Nur Star speaking, your personal Star barista. And once again, we are ready to delight you with some very special StarkNet content. Well, my dear friends, the Star Cafe reopens after a small break for the ECC and StarkNet CC events that took place in Paris last week. And most of the StarkNet community was busy during the last week for attending these two amazing events. And yeah, what a historic StarkNet CC we've all experienced, with a lot of interesting talks, workshops, and panels like the unforgettable one about the Kakarot ZK VM, featuring the great Vitalik Buterin, the founder of Ethereum. Therefore, yes, many emotions, lots of good memories. Alongside with also several announcements of new disruptive features, such as the one that we are going to talk about on today's Star Cafe. As you know, the Braavos Starknet wallet in there announced the launch of their multi-owned account in their talk at Starknet CC. So I'm very curious to dive a bit more into the subject, and that's why we have the pleasure to have Motty, the founder of the Braavos Starknet wallet. Hello, Motty. Welcome to the Star Cafe. How are you? How are you feeling?
I'm great, No Star. Thank you for having me. I'm feeling great. Great to be back home after Paris. Although it was fantastic in Paris as well. It was great to see everyone. It was great to see you in person. So definitely, it was definitely a fruitful and enjoyable trip.
Absolutely. Yeah, the same applies to me. It was a pleasure to meet you. And, this kind of conferences always gives you, that kind of a recharging feeling, for the future. Also, the first days after the events are always a bit difficult because you have a backlog and you also you feel tired, of course. But, this Star Cafe, I'm sure will help us, loading our batteries. Therefore, let's start talking about today's subject. But before analyzing this new multi-owned account feature that you announced last Friday, let's sum up a bit the great work that Braavos has done when it comes to security and user experience. In fact, during less than a year, you managed to build the Braavos security pyramid, leveraging the power of account extraction. First, by offering the two-factor authentication with the hardware signer, which was announced, if I remember well, during the Starknet CC in Lisbon last November, and then the three-factor authentication, which is called the multi-signer, that was announced, if I remember well, during the Starkware sessions. So, Moti, let's revise a bit how this pyramid is structured and which are the benefits and the benefits that the users have been taking advantage of in terms of both security and UX.
Yeah, so you summarized it so well, and you described it so accurately, and that I think that my work here is done. But I will try to give that some context from a different point of view. So I opened my talk in Starknet CC with a statement that I think it's quite obvious to many people, but on the other hand is completely shocking to others. And that statement is that today in crypto, all traditional self-custodial wallets are one software update away from becoming fully custodial. Again, your wallet that you think that it is self-custodial is one software update away from being fully custodial. And in most cases, it will happen in the background without you even knowing that. And that's amazing. That's like, for us, it was, a complete no-go. That was one of the drivers to start and introduce more and better security. More and better security coupled with a good UX. A UX, as we know from application uses in Web 2, and that's what led to the birth of the hardware signer. But maybe before I will dive into the hardware signer, I will talk about the authentication type. I think that we talked about it in the last Darknet Cafe, but it's important to reiterate that so people will understand how their accounts, not only on Braavos but on any wallet, is being secured, and it's very beneficial to think about that from the attacker point of view, meaning what an attacker needs to do in order to compromise your account. So when we are talking about authentication type, we are talking about three main authentication types. There is the something you know, which is usually a password or a PIN code or a pattern. There is something you have, which is a physical device, meaning if I hold it in my hand, you cannot hold it in your hand as well. And there is something you are, which relates to your biometric identity. And that is, could be your fingerprint or your Face ID or your retina, etc. So these are the main three types of authentication: something you know, something you have, and something you are. And a good form of authentication is comprised with at least two out of these three, and preferably not the something you know, because it is considered to be the weakest one. And if you think about that in crypto, we usually or mainly use the something you know. We mainly use these notorious 12-word seed phrase in order to protect and recover our wallets. And that's not a good security. Add to that the fact that any wallet vendor, either by mistake or by being enforced by the regulator, or doing that maliciously, can in one update turn your wallet to be fully custodial and take all the funds. That's not a good combination. And that's why we introduced the hardware signer. Like the hardware signer is a great combination between very high security and very good UX. Now, the idea behind the hardware signer, that, as you mentioned, provide two-factor authentication, provide something you have and something you are, is to use something that we all have. Almost all of us have, almost all of us carry it in our pocket, and this is a very strong mobile device. Today, all mobile device comes with built-in security chip that is very powerful, that knows to create, to generate keys that are isolated from the outside environment, that knows to do biometric authentication in order to allow these keys to sign messages, and in our case in crypto, to sign transactions. And harnessing this capability and deploying it or adjusting that to the blockchain using the power of account abstraction that allows us to actually perform a custom signature validation, meaning your smart account, your smart contract account, which is on chain, can easily talk to the security chip that is on your mobile. They talk in the same security language. They know to, on the one hand, sign, and on the other hand, verify the same elliptic curve. So harnessing both of it together in order to bring very strong security of two-factor authentication, and on the other hand, very seamless UX, which is very similar to how you use Apple Pay and Google Pay. And that is the hardware signer. Now, one more thing that is important to say about the hardware signer, because I say that I hear that a lot, is that, but I don't feel right that Apple has access to my private key. So that's not true. That's completely not true. No one has access to your private key in this case. Not Apple, not the Apple operating system, not the Braavos app, not the phone vendor if you use Android. No one has access to your keys because your keys are actually being generated and stored in silicon. And that means that even if tomorrow morning a regulator will come to the phone vendor, say it's Apple or Android Samsung or Android Pixel or whatever, and we say, oh, we want you to bring us the keys of Nurstar phone, or you go to jail. So even if they want to do that, they cannot do that. And that is something which is very strong. We saw just a month ago what happened with classic hardware wallets and how the keys can be synced to the cloud. And here, this is real hardware keys that are authenticated with your biometric identity. So that's a strong, very strong pillar in the account abstraction security pyramid. But Nurstar, maybe I will take a short pause here and before we continue to describe the pyramid.
Absolutely, Motty, no worries. Let's take some breath. And yeah, also in summary and explanation about all the great work that you're doing, that you've been doing with account abstraction. You are one of the teams that's that dealt the most with this amazing primitive, and you applied it to a very good product, which is the Braavos wallet, and you increased a lot you improved a lot the UX of using a wallet, in this case on Starknet. And having said that, before going on with the next question, which is obviously about the multi-owned account, I let you some more time to rest. And in the meanwhile, I would like to shout out to all the listeners who are here with us. I also see the guys from Flex, an NFT marketplace that launched recently. Tenemos también nuestros amigos de Nación Bankless, our friends from the Bankless Spanish community, Exodus, Crypto Round from Nación Bankless, Ademola, Kubi, Dafa, Sixi, Noma, Chari, Sakund, and so many others. You're so many today. Thanks a lot for coming. And well, having said that, Moti, after having finished building this amazing security pyramid, it seems that you guys at Braavos still wanted to add an additional layer of security, while also offering at the same time a UX solution for those use cases that are related to co-working, team working, and DAOs coordination things.
Yeah.
So yeah,
but
let's dive deeper.
Maybe before we talk about the multi-owner account, just to give the listeners the full picture about the account abstraction security pyramid. We talked about the pyramid, but we mentioned only the hardware signer. So just very briefly, in the pyramid, you can imagine a triangle that in its basis, in the very low level, you have the seed signer. The seed signer is the one that is derived from the 12 words that we all know and we don't really like. On top of that, there is the hardware signer that we've just described with the 2FA. And on top of that, we have the multi-signer, which is 3FA, three-factor authentication, that actually combines the hardware signer and the seed signer and allow you as a user to sign from two different devices before a transaction will go through and communicate with other contracts on chain. So you get top security because you get with the hardware signer, you get the something you have, which is your mobile device, and the something you are, which is your biometric identity. And that's on your mobile. And if you sign on your computer, on your laptop, you get also the something you know with the seed signer. And only when all these three conditions are met, then only then the transaction will leave the account contract that is on the chain and goes and actually be executed with other contracts. And if you remember, we said you always need to think what an attacker needs to do in order to compromise your account. So with a seed signer, that's like most crypto wallet out there, the only thing that they need to do is to steal these 12-word seed phrase. And we are all familiar with phishing attacks and malicious software that easily steal these 12 words if you keep them on your hard drive, etc. on the other hand, with the hardware signer, an attacker needs to steal your device physically. It needs to steal your device and needs to steal your biometric identity, like your face or your finger, which is possible, but order of magnitude more difficult. And with the 3FA multi-signer, they need to steal all three. So they need to steal your device, need to steal your biometric identity, and need to steal the something you know, these 12-word seed phrase. And that's complete description of the account abstraction security pyramid.
Amazing, Motty. Yeah, we apologize for I apologize for forgetting about the last layer of the pyramid. But yeah, thanks a lot for reminding me about it. And so we could say that with this security pyramid, a single user can feel safer than just using obviously the seed phrase. But as we were saying, we still need some implementations to make wallets, let's say, communicate with each other. So also, as we were saying, to find a way to let teams and, for example, DAOs in the future have a wallet that they can share, an account that they can share in order to run their activities. So I think that you announced the multi-owned account also as a solution to this kind of coordination problems, right?
Exactly. And actually, it came from our own need. We have launched a month ago. We launched the Stake Plus feature in the Braavos wallet that allows the Braavos users to stake their Starknet ETH and earn yield either through the staking, traditional staking that pulls their ETH and goes down to Ethereum layer 1 and stake it with Lido. And that's the way they earn yield, or with staking boost, in which they earn a much higher yield in a bit more sophisticated compounding yield mechanism strategy. And people really like that, like users really like that, and started depositing money into that. And we said, oh, that cannot be secured only by one person. Even if they have the hardware signer, and even if they have the multi-signer, still this is one person, and we are talking about large sums of money that grows daily. And for that, we said, okay, we need some sort of a multi-sig kind of solution in order to protect these contracts, in order to protect potential treasury, etc. Now, we don't have a multi-sig on Starknet, so there is no solution like Gnosis Safe. But what we do have, we have account abstraction, and we have solutions like Braavos. So, we went to the drawing table and started thinking, okay, what is the best solution that we can bring? And we came up with the multi-owner account. So the idea of the multi-owner account is like its name, it's an account that has multi-owners that needs a subset of them to sign a transaction in order for the transaction to go through. Meaning, let's say that we have an account with 7 owners, and we define the threshold as 4. It means that at least 4 out of the 7 owners needs to sign in order for the transaction to go through. If only 3 sign, it's insufficient. That means that in order to compromise the account, I need to be able to compromise at least 4 owners. And that's a very good mechanism, both for protecting smart contracts, protecting treasuries, and also, I think, as you alluded with the DAO example, to reach some sort of on-chain consensus. Now, I think that the benefits here, or the very strong benefits here, it is much more than a multi-sig account. And why is that? It's mainly because three fundamental things. One is that the multi-owner account is set as such that each owner can be multi-factor authenticated. Meaning I, as an owner, can have a hardware signer. You, as an owner, can have a multi-signer. A third owner can have only the seed signer. And the fourth owner can have, I don't know, also the hardware signer. And the account supports everything. So it's a multi-owner account that needs, in our example, 4 out of 7 owners to sign. But not only that, each owner has their own level of security according to the account abstraction security pyramid. So either the seed signer, the hardware signer, the signer. And that's, that's really, really strong. So that's one benefit, to have multi-factor authenticated owners. The second benefit is since the multi-owner account is an account, it's not just a smart contract on chain, then it pays its own gas fee. So if you are 7 owners that are sharing the account, you don't need to think who will pay the gas, because the account itself is the one who pays the gas. And that's also very convenient. So it's not like the last transaction needs to pay the gas, or a special transaction needs to pay the gas. No, the account itself pays the gas. And the third thing, which is very powerful, is, again, since this is an account like every other account that you have in your wallet, it seamlessly connects to dApps, meaning you can connect. It's not only to do transfer or contract upgrades, but if, for example, you manage treasury there, and now you have ETH and you want to stake your ETH, now you can do that also with a multi-owner account. If you want to swap, you can do that also. If you want to add liquidity, or you want to buy an NFT, or whatever you want to do, you can do so using the multi-owner account and the consensus signing of M out of N owners. In our example, 4 out of 7. So this is what's like really exciting with the multi-owner account. It's a new paradigm of how to collaborate, which is, I think, much, much better than a simple multi-sig. And thanks to account abstraction and Starknet having account abstraction built into the protocol, we were able to do that and to provide it to teams in the ecosystem. And I think that the feedback that we got in Starknet CC from teams was really, really positive.
Very exciting, Motty. I mean, you said that this new multi-owned account also came out of your own need, as you needed something also to coordinate better at Braavos. And I think these kinds of products that come out of need as well often turned out to be very, let's say, successful and pragmatic and useful, which is obviously the goal of this multi-owned account, and while maintaining a very high security, which is the case. And I would like to ask you for some follow-up questions, like, is there a limit of addresses that can manage a multi-owned account?
So, excellent question. We set in the application layer, we currently set the limit to 7, although that in the contract there is no real limit. And the reason for that is because something that is called non-subtraction. And what is non-subtraction, or in our case, the lack of non-subtraction? Each and every transaction that we issue on the chain has its own nonce. Nonce is call it number once. Is a number that you use once and then you throw that. And the reason that each transaction has a nonce, this number once, is because you want to prevent replay attacks. Meaning, if you send a transaction, you want to make sure that I cannot now take your transaction and replay that. Let's say that you send me $100, I can take your transaction, and if I can easily execute it again, then I will send myself another $100 from your account. And we don't want to do that, and that's why you have the nonce. So the nonce creates a unique identifier to the account, and once you use that nonce, you cannot use it again. The issue here with the multi-owner account in the current state of the Starknet network is that each transaction has its own nonce. So if we are now owners of a multi-owner account, and both of us issue transaction at the exact same time, let's say in the exact same 20 or 30 seconds window, we will have nonce collision, and only one transaction will go through. Now, and the other transaction will fail, and the user will need to re-execute that. Now, that's not so bad when we limit the owners to 7 people. Even it's not bad at all, because the chances that it will happen are very, very small. And even if it will happen, then worst case scenario, we will issue the transaction again. But if we say, let's say that we have 1,000 owner of this account, then the chances for such a collision is higher, and we don't want that to happen. So the solution here that will be supported in Starknet in a few months is something that is called nonce abstraction. It means that each owner of the account will have its own nonce, and then we will not have collision. That's another very powerful characteristic of account abstraction that allows to bring more and better functionality that we cannot do with regular accounts. So not only that this issue is not a big issue now, it will be even better, or will be completely solved in the future, and will allow to support a very high number of collaborators on the multi-owner account. Now, I said that we limit the number of owners to 7, but that's a random number. If we see from the community that people want not 7, but they want 10, not 10, they want 20, all these numbers are completely feasible, and the risk of collision is very small. And again, as I said, also the price of error here is negligible.
Absolutely. So we'll see these multi-owned accounts getting updates, during the coming months, as also the account abstractions features that you described will be available, and the nonce abstraction, yeah. And having said that, I also wanted to ask you, would you like to do a practical example of the following scenario? Let's imagine that we have a 5-people team or DAO that would like to create a multi-owned account where each of the members of this DAO would like to transfer $1,000. What will the process look like in this case? I mean, can you be able to put this money inside the multi-owned account straight after its creation, or you'll have to send the funds to the multi-owned account in the standard way from each wallet?
No, so again, the multi-owner account is an account like any other account on Starknet. Meaning, like in any other account, once it's created, once you have an address, you can transfer money into it. Also, in this case, you can transfer money into it. And now we will release, I think in the next couple of hours, a video that describes how you set up a multi-owner account and how you do a transaction. It's really quite straightforward. I can try to describe it to the listeners now, as we speak. The way to do that is simply going to your Braavos wallet, open the menu, click Add Multi-Owner Account, and if you are the first one, you click Create a New Multi-Owner Account. And once you did that, you will insert the addresses or the Starknet ID of all your co-owners. Let's say, Nurstar, that I'm creating the account for the 5-people DAO that you described. And so let's say that we are both in the DAO. So I will input my address, and then I will input your address or your Starknet ID, and then the 3 other owners. I will set the threshold that we want for signing. Let's say we want 3 out of 5, or 4 out of 5, or 5 out of 5, or whatever threshold that we as a group decide. And then I will click deploy, and I will deploy this account like any other account on chain. And this account will have an address, and it will have a smart contract, an account smart contract on chain, and it will be like any other account. On your side,
Okay.
Let's say that I created the account. On your side, I will send you the address that, oh, Nurstar, I created a new account for our DAO. I will send you the address, and you will simply go to your Braavos wallet, to the menu, add a multi-owner account, and import this address. And once you did that, you will see that as any other account that you see in your wallet. You have account 1 and account 2 and account 3, and you have our new multi-owner account. And you see everything like you see in any other account on your wallet. You see the balance, and you will see the token list, and you will see all the features that you have regularly in your Braavos wallet. And if we wanna, in your example, if you wanna, let's say, transfer $1,000, and we set the threshold of signers to be 3 out of 5, it means that let's say that you initiate the transaction. Anyone can initiate the transaction because each owner has exactly the same rights. So even though I created the account, I don't have any privilege rights. Everyone has the same rights. So let's say that you initiate a transaction. So you say, okay, I go to ETH or I go to USDC, transfer to this and that address. I transfer from the new multi-owner account to whatever account that we want, $1,000, and then you send it on chain. And then I will get a notification in my wallet, or if I will open that, I will simply see that there is a pending transaction that Nurstar did that I need to sign. Now I will review that and say, oh, Nurstar wants to transfer $1,000 to this and that address. I know what it is. I'm willing to sign that, and I will sign that. Let's say that I have a hardware signer. I will sign that, and I will authenticate with my biometric ID. It will get sent on chain, verified, and we'll wait in the multi-owner account for the third signer, right? Because we said it's not enough that you will sign and I will sign. We need 3 out of 5, 3 out of the 5 owners. And when the third signer will come and sign as well, then the transaction will go through and transfer this $1,000 to the address that we wanted to transfer.
Very well. Motty, will there be an expiration date or time for the pending transaction?
So that's an extremely good question. We are looking for feedback from the community here. Currently, we set the time to 2 weeks. But of course, it's completely configurable. I think, for example, in the multi-call, when there is, if you remember, in the hardware abstraction, in the Braavos account abstraction security pyramid, when we have the seed signer, hardware signer, and multi-signer, in the multi-signer, the timeout the time window is much shorter because it's the same person. You signed on your laptop, and then you get a notification on your mobile, and you need to sign on your mobile. When we are talking about DAOs or when we are talking about teams, then it's quite rare that everything happened simultaneously, right? Usually they do not physically they sit in the same place, right? Someone can be in Venezuela and another one can be in Italy, and etc. So it can take some time for all the people to sign. So for that, we felt that it's right to give a bigger time frame, a bigger window to allow teams to sign. Currently, this is set for 14 days, but as I said, we are eager to hear the community and the team's feedback to fine-tune that.
That's great. I believe that 2 weeks are more than enough. And in terms of privacy, I have this kind of question that you actually indirectly answered to me. But will each address of the team members be visible on the multi-owned account? And will the signing transaction, so the pending one or the initiating one, from which members be visible on the transaction history of the multi-owned account?
Yeah, so, currently on Starknet and even on blockchain at large, everything is public, right? Everything that you write on chain is public. Thus, the transactions that you issue, whether it's from your private wallet or from the multi-owner account, are public on chain. Anyone can see them because the nodes that process the transaction gets it and process that and then store that. And of course, if the transaction is accepted, it's also part of the state of the blockchain. So unfortunately, at large, we don't have privacy in crypto today, and that's true for the multi-owner account as well. However, we do believe in Braavos, we do believe that privacy should be a core feature for encouraging mass adoption for crypto in large. And this is definitely something that we are thinking of, not only in the sense of multi-owner account, but also from your private account. Let's say in the multi-owner account, the fact that the votes, let's call them, are public, it's somewhat of an advantage. But in your private account, let's say that you bought me some coffee, or you transfer me this $100 that we discussed earlier, and now I can see all the transaction that you did on chain from the moment you opened your wallet. That's not a good feature, right? So for private account, it's even more important to preserve privacy, and this is certainly something that we are thinking of, and this is certainly something which is in the Braavos roadmap.
I see. That's very cool. And on my side, I've run out of questions, and also, I know that you have a very busy schedule. Let's see if a Ryder has a question for you, because I received a request to speak. Let me see if he has a question for you, and then we'll close it.
Sure, we'll be happy to take questions.
Hello, Ryder. Please go ahead with your question.
Hi, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, thank you. So thank you, first of all, Northstar for hosting, and Motty for explaining everything. I learned a lot, let's say this way. I have two things in mind to say on this conversation. First one is actually regarding the last conversation you had of the status of the transaction, how many people will sign. I think that if it's not yet part of the plan, I think that would be like a great addition to see the status of each request, obviously the history as well of previous requests and previous signers. But beside that, I listened to all of your explanation about the pyramid of security, which sounds great. One security issue that I find very big, but I don't see a lot of attention go towards that. And this is not about the security of letting your wallet get compromised, but rather losing your keys, for example. Unfortunately, I do have, like, from my own family, my uncle used to he bought like a lot of Bitcoin, right at the start, and he kept it on his own wallet along the years, and he died like suddenly, and none of us, like the rest of the family, had any access basically to it. We didn't know the wallet, definitely not the seed phrase or anything like that. And I think this is like a very big issue regarding security of wallets. One, just as a suggestion, maybe something that you already discussed within the Braavos team, which, by the way, hats off. Um, I, I have one solution in mind, and I would love to get your feedback, or maybe like other solution that you have in mind for that problem, which is what I have in mind is basically a modular ruling for your own account. So let's say, for example, I will be able to set rules, right? If I'm not making any transaction in the next 6 months, move my funds into that address, just for an example. Or if I make a lot of transaction at the same day, block me from making more transaction for the next 48 hours, or all sort of rules that I will be able to set up for myself and set up my own security. So that's just one solution that I had in mind, but I would love to get your feedback and your thought on that issue. Thank you.
So I think these are great questions and great suggestions. For the first one, you can already now see with the multi-owner account, you can already now see in your wallet that you signed and how many people are left to sign. So you see the status of the transaction at all time, like any other transaction that you see in your Braavos wallet. But here, the status has two lines: one for you, what's the status of your signature, and the other line, the status of the all other owners and whether they signed or not. So that's regarding that. But also here, we will be happy to get feedback once you use that, if more details are needed, etc. Regarding the second question, this is definitely something that's on our mind. First of all, I'm sorry to hear about your uncle, and we definitely understand the need here. Yeah, I call it what will happen if I will go in the street tomorrow and will get hit by a bus. So we have to cater, as we want crypto to mature and appeal to more and more audiences. We have to cater for real life scenarios that happen, even if they are not so pleasant. And the deceased or the death scenario, even if it's not pleasant, we all know that it is part of life. And here, account abstraction definitely come to our rescue. And one of the ideas that we have is exactly as you suggested. If I did not do any transaction in the wallet for X period of time, and each person can define their own X, then the funds will automatically be sent to a beneficiary. And this beneficiary, it's actually my will, right? I can send it to one person or to 10 person or to anyone that I want. So just to be clear, this is not currently implemented in Braavos, but I should say not yet. This is definitely in a roadmap. And by the way, before we did the multi-owner account implementation, that was one of the things that we debated, whether it's better to do the wheel feature and support what happened after my descent, or should we do a multi-owner account? And eventually we ruled for a multi-owner account. But just to understand how much this is on our mind and how much we are thinking about that. The third thing that you mentioned is something that we call daily withdrawal limit. I often compare that to ATMs. If you have an ATM card and you want to withdraw money, you cannot withdraw all the money that you have in your bank. There is a limit to how much money you can withdraw from the ATM using your card, and this can be a good feature for crypto accounts as well. You set a daily withdrawal limit, and if you pass this withdrawal limit, either you need to wait till tomorrow, or you need to wait, or you need to sign with another signer. Let's say up to a certain amount, $100, you can sign with the seed signer. Up to $1,000, you can sign with the hardware signer. And above that, you can sign with the multi-signer. Or simply, as said, you just have a cooldown period, and above $1,000, you should come and sign tomorrow. And of course, these are just magic numbers that I mentioned. Anyone will be able to set their own limit according to their specific needs and use cases. So, Ryder, thank you. 3 great questions. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you very much for your answer. It's great to hear that you're already in a walk on that issue. It's in a pain for me for a long time now. I do want to ask, since you did answer the question regarding the specific examples that I gave, but my like the solution that I had in mind is maybe something more modular. So it's not specifically a daily withdrawal limit, and it's not specifically if I'm not accessing or making any transaction, but basically a set of a template to make up your own rules. And I don't know, maybe it's something that we'll discuss, since there are so many different scenarios like death, like losing your keys due to fire or whatever, or flood. There are like so many different scenarios, And by the way, they can obviously be combined with the count abstraction and multi-signer, since you can apply in the future, once you do have like a modular system for your own wallet to set the rules. So you can actually set some sort of a future rules and make contracts between parties, including multi-signers, for example. Just to maybe try to get your answer about a solution that is maybe a bit less specific for a specific issue, but more modular, and let actually the user decide his own rules.
So I think that's another great question. I will share with you my point of view. I think that for us as a wallet vendor, a wallet provider, we need to find the right balance between having as much functionality as possible, but without compromising on the user experience. Because most users want things to simply work. They want to be able to access their wallet whenever they need that. They want to be able to do that securely. They don't want to think about security at all, and they are rightfully so. They want a seamless experience similar to what they get today in most Web2 services and Web2 solutions. And this is where we strive to go, and this is what we strive to achieve. And in that sense, I completely agree with you with the seed signer. No doubt that we need to solve the fact that seed signer get lost. One of Braavos' goal is to completely get rid of the seed signer, and we have some very cool plans about that, using some very smart cryptography that I believe that we will introduce probably end of this year, early next year. So and that will be another sort of a revolution, I think, in the crypto space at large. Regarding programmable account, again, as I said, there is a fine line, or we need to find a right balance between catering as much functionality as possible, also sometimes to power users, and making the UX as simple and as frictionless as possible, so as many users can come and use Braavos and adopt crypto values.
Amazing, guys. Thanks a lot, Ryder, for such interesting questions. They were very enlightening, and they opened a lot of room for suggestions. And I'm sure Motty and the whole team will like Yoav, who's here as well. Shout out to him. And I'm sure you guys at Braavos will find solutions to all these sorts of problems and challenges. And well, having said that, I would like to thank our audience for coming today to this special Star Cafe. And I also see Brian from ZK Land. It was a pleasure to meet you in Paris, man. And thanks a lot to all the listeners for taking some of their precious time to be with us today. Secondly,
if I may, the team here tells me that we have a secret word for this cafe. So it's not just a cafe. This is not just a Stargate cafe. This is a Stargate cafe that has a secret word, and the secret word is signature. Again, the secret word is signature. So the secret is out, but the signature is safe.
That's great. So keep this secret word in mind, guys. Signature. Thanks a lot, Moti, for this gift. Very well appreciated. And having said that, it's time to close this Star Cafe. Thanks a lot for coming. Remember to share the StackNet vibe, and see you the next time. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Nurstar. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.